3, 2, 1. Let's get started.
This is the podcast.
Are you ready for takeoff?
I'm here with a special guest today, Dave Shutler. So Dave's got an immense background, wealth of knowledge in health on all aspects, mainly fitness, diet, nutrition, environment, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to get into it. So let's start first, Dave, with just your background and how we ended up at this moment.
So I started with Secret Service for about 4 years, Intel analyst for about 3.5 years. I've always been involved in health and fitness in general. I guess you could take it all the way back to my childhood days, just growing up, being an athlete, playing football, baseball, primarily. But the main important thing that got me into health and fitness was just basically trial and error on myself, just experimenting things on myself, nutrition, the training, supplementation, all that stuff. Government work just generally wasn't for me, in the long run. I definitely know that I'm doing what I need to be doing like now, and I should be doing what I'm doing now as a gym owner and working with Heartland and stuff like that, and just spreading the good word of health and fitness overall. But I feel like health and fitness, it's not just training and nutrition. There's a lot more that goes into it, and that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit more about today, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to talk about a bunch of different topics. The first one we're going to start with is protein. So why is protein so important, just generally speaking?
Protein is very important in terms of just, it plays a role in like literally every cell in your body. So regeneration, recovery, everything like that. So especially for like people that are very active, people that are very active are just generally going to need more protein. People that aren't as active don't probably need as much. So if you're generally tending to lean towards more of like the obese side of things, you probably don't need as much. But protein is not just responsible for recovery and everything else. You got to understand that protein is extremely important for your immune function. So protein makes up a large part of your immune system. So if you aren't eating as much protein, you're more likely to get sick more often. It also depends on the quality of the protein, the sourcing of the protein. All that stuff is tremendously important. And obviously with Heartland, like sourcing is what it's all about. But protein is just so fundamentally important in just how you feel day to day, your blood sugar regulation. People that don't eat as much protein are generally a lot of times more depressed because you have to understand which we'll talk about in a second, like the components of protein actually dictate like mood, neurotransmitters, dopamine, feeling good, all these things. All right, so that's kind of the main thing with like people that don't, like there's some deficiencies and symptoms that people that don't eat enough protein, they generally have, which is just fatigued and not feeling as good day to day and having those swings in their blood sugar a lot and not recovering, being sore all the time.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Dave actually owns a gym here in Ashburn. It's called Icon Gym. Yep. I'm a member there, and part of the coaching you get is the diet plans, all the direction and advice. So for those who don't really have that in their regimen right now, what are some signs that they're not getting enough protein?
Yeah, like I just mentioned, I think some signs, the big ones that I see are generally people are just getting they're not recovering. Right? I mean, obviously Recover has so many modalities, like you could be super stressed out and you have to understand also that when you are super stressed out from not just training, I'm talking about like life in general, it's just going to eat up more and more things in your body. So your body doesn't care about losing fat or gaining muscle, it just cares about staying alive. So you have to understand that there's a lot of research that even shows like 30, 40 grams of protein, the first 30, 40 grams that you actually put in your mouth and eat goes directly to your immune system. Doesn't care about it's going to go where it needs it the most. Doesn't care about building muscle or losing fat. It doesn't. So if you're training, the biggest signs that I see as a gym owner are the fatigue, the not recovering, Getting cravings more because, again, cravings, going back to blood sugar. And the problem is people think they can get these proteins from just like protein shakes a lot of time. But protein shakes hormonally actually increase things like your insulin and jack up your insulin. So like when insulin goes up, it basically jacks up your blood sugar. So insulin is released to bring that blood sugar back down. So protein shakes aren't always the best answer. I mean, that's when you want to talk about like having quality meats and quality beef, quality chicken, things like that.
Excellent. Yeah. So how much protein should someone be taking in, and what are the requirements for the protein?
So everybody wants to be sexy, right? Let's be honest. I mean,
We all want to be sexy.
So, the main thing with protein is that I like to tell people that are training pretty frequently with weights and everything like that in order to recover is, generally speaking, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, for people that are obese, that may go towards more on the lower end, just because, again, like it's going to be hard. Those kind of people already have enough stored energy on their body, right? We just need enough to actually allow them to preserve the tissue that they already have. So that's going to happen through weight training and stuff, right? There's no, like, you can overeat protein just like you can overdo water and stuff like that. At the same time, it's very hard. I've never met somebody that can just slam chicken breasts and like even steak like all day long. And because here's the thing, all the protein that you eat, 20% of that is lost in digestion alone. So just by overeating protein a little bit is actually going to put your body into a caloric funnel or a calorie deficit automatically from overeating. So I don't look at it as a big, like if I want to get somebody leaner and somebody wants to get leaner, I just shift their protein up and actually bring carbohydrates maybe back down a little bit. And that's kind of how I create, but without depriving them of actual food. So automatically you can artificially kind of create a calorie deficit, which everybody wants to look sexy. And there's a difference between aesthetics and longevity. There is. I mean, if you want to live longer, health, right? Those people probably aren't going to be eating a gram to 1.5 grams per pound body weight. They just aren't. Like, health is completely different. Those people are probably going to be living on a beach, going for long walks, really like practicing yoga, meditation, like living as low a stress a lifestyle as possible. It's way different, but they're not going to have the muscle tone, they're not going to be more jacked. They're not going to be, training 6 days a week with weights, right? So it's like, it's a completely different, so people need to get out of their heads is it's just completely different in terms of health and like body composition. Like the two aren't always synonymous, but everybody wants to look really good. And I think there can be a little bit of both, but they're not like the same, one and the same. You can't have everything, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, generally speaking, most people know, okay, I should eat some protein, right? And then when you're looking at the supplement side of proteins, there is a huge range of what's available, what you can get from soy derivatives, whey derivatives, plant-based, like all kinds of different things. So can you give some clarity to the different types of proteins and which ones you suggest?
Yeah, and I was going to this is where I was really going to get into the meat and potatoes things with the protein. Like, you really got to know where your sourcing's from as well, because here's the thing. When you buy chicken from Giant or Harris Teeter and things like that, all these things from your commodity grocery stores, all right? You have to understand that the animal actually stores the toxins in their fat, all right? So with animals that don't get like steroids, antibiotics, all these things, you aren't getting those things, you aren't eating those things, and they're going into you. So your commodity chicken, whatever, beef, all those things, you don't know what they're getting, all right? And all the toxins that they're exposed to are actually getting stored in their fat cells. So you're eating that. So what do you think that's just putting more of a burden on yourself. So if you want that burden, by all means, go ahead and eat the grocery store food. But if you want places that are no antibiotic, hormone free, no chemicals, all this stuff, Heartland's it. It just is. I mean, and that's why after, I've been a customer of Heartland's for like 10 years now. It just made sense as a gym owner to like, all right, I'm already like enjoying this food myself. Like, why don't I actually give it to my clients as well and start preaching to them as well? So you just really got to know like how many toxins there are also in the world. Like, they're finding thousands of toxins a day out there. And anyone that says that you can detox, your liver and kidneys can detox, no, our environment's completely changed. So that's why we need to supplement. We need to do all these things. It's completely changed. Anybody that says otherwise is a fool.
Boom. And that's a hard fact right there. So shifting gears from protein, we're going to move on to amino acids. So what are amino acids? Let's start with that.
So pretty simple. I mean, amino acids are the building blocks of protein. I mean, there's essential and there's non-essential amino acids. But realistically, I mean, you don't really have to worry necessarily about amino acids unless a few things, right? So you aren't actually taking in enough animal protein generally. And also for like vegans and vegetarians, people that have a harder time getting in those essential amino acids. So essential amino acids you really get from like your protein sources, like your animal protein. Mm-hmm. So people that are trying to live that lifestyle, God help them. I don't know why. I mean, personally, but that's just me. Hate me if you want. I don't care. The thing is, like, when I see a lot of vegans and things like that train, like the ones that I've seen personally, they're just weaker. They look slow. There's like, they have like bags under their eyes a lot of times. There's signs and symptoms of like having low protein, having, just generally like lower quality, like nutrients. Some of these foods are just completely like processed and things like that. But getting back to essential amino acids, the only time that I would have somebody take amino acids is, number one, if their recovery is impaired and they need something easy. Instead of eating a chicken breast, it's a lot easier to drink an amino acid supplementation, right? A drink there, and it tastes pretty good, and it goes straight into the bloodstream, so it doesn't have to be digested, right? That's one of the big things. That's really nice. So those are really the only two times I would really add that an amino acid supplementation in. If you aren't getting enough protein from animal sources, and also if you're a vegan vegetarian, it's just going to make sense just because you need all the like raw materials you can get to actually build like in that circumstance.
Excellent.
It just is what it is. Yeah.
Awesome. So shifting gears to vitamins. I think it's pretty common knowledge. Let me take my daily vitamin. But specifically on B vitamins, you said that they're very important, and I want everybody to know why B vitamins are so important.
So B vitamins, you have to understand that our metabolism in the energy cycle is kind of like it's a water wheel. Kind of like look at it like that, right? So it's kind of like our amino acids. There's a lot of the amino acids that actually enter in on this water wheel that is our energy cycle and produces energy for our body. So with B vitamins, those B vitamins, same exact thing. They enter in on this water wheel, okay? They fall into different places. They do different things. They help produce energy, okay? But if we don't have those things, if people are stressed out constantly, these vitamins and minerals are constantly being chewed up as well. All right, so one of the biggest things that I find that causes people to be fatigued and causes people to have issues with this is just pretty much being stressed out and just beasting their life all the time. B vitamins are essential for the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats as well. So look at these things as everything in your metabolism is an enzyme. There's enzymes, and you need enzymatic reactions to produce energy. Okay, B vitamins are coenzymes, so they're producing these coenzymes that help eventually produce energy. So if you don't have these B vitamins, what's going to happen? You're just going to have less energy, okay? So you get B vitamins from protein, animal protein. However, I would argue that because of the society we're living in today, most people don't get enough. Most people are lacking in B vitamins. One big thing that you want to be careful of, though, is overshooting your B vitamins. And amino acids. So you can do too much. Now, with with amino acids, going back to that real quick, people that are drinking amino acid drinks all day long, a lot of times you'll start to see people like that actually be like depressed. They're really irritable because it's messing with your neurotransmitter. It messes with your brain. Okay, so that's where you need to just be like, not overdo it. So if you're taking a B vitamin supplement, like looking at another supplement and making sure it doesn't have like additional B vitamins. So just like not taking an excess, because you may not realize it, but like you could get like really irritable, really snappy, and just be like really depressed. Things like that happens with a lot of bodybuilders. So it's just really important to know, if you are supplementing with these things, like know what you're actually putting in your body.
So when do B vitamins become too much?
It's going to be dependent on the person and how, like, the size of the person. Yeah. So like let's say I would take 12 caps of something like that, Thorne Detox Nutrients. Somebody else might take 6. Again, activity level is going to determine that. How much work you're actually doing during the day. Like, you might be an athlete, you might take 18 of those. Right. So it's like, it just depends. Somebody sitting on their couch, Sally Muffin Top might hit like 3 or 4 of those and not have to worry about how many. Yeah. So
this is where coaching comes in. So if you need referrals for health and wellness professionals, drop something in the comments. We're here to help.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank Dave for coming on. And if you're in the Loudon area, go check him out at Icon Gym. He's got the accountability, the nutrition, the weightlifting, and of course, get your proteins, your vegetables, and your groceries from Heartland Home Foods.
Sure.
Thanks
guys.